Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well today. As always, let's see what we get into. So I got this light about a year ago at this point. It's some type of red nautical light. And it originally had a simple, little switch for a lamp type socket in it. And it was just hot glued in here. Well, I took all that stuff out a while back and I just never got around to finishing this project until today. So I decided to use one of these pony cleat sockets. Since I have a whole bunch of them, it's a perfect application for it because the globe will cover it up and nobody will be able to touch this, so that's perfect. They used to have little wooden chunks that would bring up the glass globe to meet with the collar correctly. I've decided to use these little chair pad things, just cut them into smaller pieces and layer them to the appropriate height, and I think that's what we're going to use. So let me just plug it in here, and I just have a simple 7.5 watt bulb in there. Gives a nice red glow. Okay, the spacers work great. Hold it in there nice and snug, carefully. So let's plug it in. Pretty cool. That brings up the bulb to a nice height too. Not sure where I'll put it, but it's nice to have it completed. Broken bulb. That is what happened when we were standing on the other side of the shop one morning. It decided to just break off and be done for whatever reason. I have been working on this deck for the past 6 weeks and it's finally completed. So I haven't been able to make too many decent videos, and I apologize for that just because of the fact that this has taken so long. It's great being done with it though. This was originally gray in color, and I got rid of all the gray paint and used the exact same lumber that was built here to begin with and stained it all. As you can see, it looks fantastic compared to what it used to be. So what in the world did I do? So this is going to be a bit of a story, I suppose. Well, I had to get rid of all the paint that was on this deck. So at first I came out with a pressure washer and pressure washed all the boards to see if I could just get the paint off. Sure, it did, but the boards were in pretty rough condition, being in the sun and weather for, I want to say, about 30 years. The boards have been out here, judging by some little tags that I found on the ends of the 2x6s. So I had the idea, or my parents had the idea rather, or the idea from just thinking about these boards over here, flip them over. Now, why did we think of these boards over here? Well, these aren't under, or these are under the overhang here, so they don't get rain and stuff on them. So they didn't weather the same as the rest of the boards that don't have any awning or anything on them. So the paint wouldn't come off with the pressure washer like it did for all the others. So that's how I was like, well, I'm gonna flip these over because I can't get the paint off. But then they would have looked so much better than everything else. So I went ahead and flipped all of the boards over, and that's why you can see these lines here. They're from the they're pretty much like 2x10s or 2x12s underneath that hold up the deck. Just the line of where they rested for all these years. So basically flipping them all over, we gave them a brand new side. Now, being in the Pacific Northwest, the underside did have some moss growing and stuff like that. So pressure washed that off. It looked beautiful, and well, it does right now. So once that was done and they were all flipped over, cleaned, they got stained, as you can see here. I would have done more videos on the whole process, but it was go, 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 at least in my head. When I'm working on a project, we're doing it until it's done. So we did it until it's done. Okay, so we have the railings. Those obviously need the paint off of them, and you can still see here some of the paint of the original color. It was a gray on some of the boards here. There you go, stand back in the shade over here. So what in the world did I do to get rid of the paint on those? Well, some ideas came to mind. I thought I can shave it off somehow. Well, you can shave things off with a planer. I don't have a planer. You can get a handheld planer. But you'd go through a lot of blades from talking with my parents and neighbor back home, and so that wasn't really an idea. You could sand them all. Boy, that's a lot of stuff to sand. Look at all this. There's a lot of sanding that has to go on. But I ended up settling on a different idea. I brought home a table saw from work and ran them all through the table saw, just enough to shave off the edges of the paint. And that's how we got some nice new wood underneath. Now all these, I call them spindles, I don't know what else you'd call them, are cedar. They smell very strong of cedar, so they have to be. So they look real nice all stained up. I did the exact same thing for all the 4x4s, the 2x4s, and the 2x4s on top. Shaved all the sides. And as you can see, some indents are a little in further, so it didn't, cut all of that off. But, that's just part of its history. It's not going to be exactly perfect, but I could tell you one thing, it's a lot more stable than it originally was. So that's good. Of course, in doing so, I had to pull up all the nails out of all these boards. I think I got probably like a 3-gallon bucket worth of nails out of all this stuff, and replaced it all with screws. So definitely tightened everything up and made it a lot more sturdy than before. Of course, put them all back together. I made a little wooden spacer for all the little spindles here. Again, I'm not sure what you call them. And spaced them all out. They look fantastic. Took the whole 4th of July to stain all these spindles and all the railings and everything. It, like, literally the whole day. So that weekend, I could put it all together. And I'm real happy with the result. This has taken me so long to do, well, about 6 weekends, which I guess isn't too bad. I worked on it during the week when I had the time. But it turned out well. So, there was a couple other hiccups along the way. Obviously, what you can see here stained nicely. With flipping it over, cleaning it, shaving all the paint off. Looks good. But we had a couple hiccups. These stairs, look at how big these stairs are. So these stairs obviously have like kick plates on them, whatever you want to call them, the backing board there. And they had paint on them too. You got to do something with that. So I flipped them around. Thankfully that was easy enough. The top one was much harder to do. And the bottom one is an I-beam. You can't really do much with it. It's really thick, big beam. Just like this one here that holds up the deck. So I had to get the paint off of that. Not only that, I had to get the paint off of these sides here. These had paint on them. You can't really flip them around because they're holding up all the other boards. The joists. They're holding up the joists. So, or at least capping them off, I guess you could say. So what did I do there? Well, my parents were generous enough to acquire an industrial belt sander to help with this process. And I belt sanded all the sides to get rid of all the paint. Boy, that was a process. It doesn't look perfect, but you know what, again, that's all part of its history. And I'm just happy that I was able to reuse everything. Again, a big cost savings. The only money that went into it was some screws and about 3.5 gallons of stain to do all this. So real good. Of course, the ends here had paint on it too. So I just put them on the chop saw, or whatever you want to call it, circular saw, and just recut the ends. Nice, gets rid of the paint. So that is the progression of this deck. This board was rotten. I had to replace it. Thankfully, there's some spares up underneath the deck there. But it turned out pretty good. Again, here had to do some sanding. This one's kind of rotten, but it's only there in that corner. And the bugs that were in there are long gone. So I'm just gonna let it be. Again, just part of its history. So yeah, that is the deck project that I've been working on for quite some time. Like I said, I would have done additional videos with it, but it would have been a lot just for the whole process. There's just a lot of doing. I did it all myself. I did have a friend help me with some of the boards, flipping them over, but yeah, a big accomplishment here. I think it turned out fantastic. So, what else are we gonna do with it? Well, we're gonna have to put lights on it. And you can already see one of them right there. So I picked up some of these 120 volt landscaping lights. I've picked them up randomly throughout time, just going to restores, thrift stores, whatever. But last weekend or the weekend before, one of the two, whatever, I found 4 of these at Goodwill. Brand new. I have some other brand new ones too, but these are perfect for my idea. I have 8 of them total. So originally I just had 2 big ones, 2 4-tier ones, and I was just gonna put one like here and over here on this board. But with the acquisition of these that I found recently, it changed up that idea. Even though I have 8, I'm only gonna use 4 of them. One of them's gonna go right here, and one will go here. One will go here, right on this end, so it kind of lights up everything. And one will go here. So that's 4. Wonderful. So how are we gonna wire them? Well, I have to get boxes and these little pipes. Well, I already got that last weekend. And right now I just have it wired up to a cord and plugged into an outlet over here on the side of the house just to test this out, because what I've put in here is a Philips Hue bulb, and it does fit and it does work with the Hue system, its little bridge and whatnot that's in the basement. I didn't know if it would work so far away and being in a metal and glass cage. But it works fine. It's been programmed to do certain things throughout the week and no problems there. It's done everything I have programmed it to do. So perfect. So I went online to get 4 more, or 3 more rather. They come in packs of 3, this particular A19 size. And I was gonna get them on Amazon. They had them for like half off, which is great because a pack of 3 is like $140. It's ridiculous. They're just bulbs, you know. But the sale went away and I was so mad. But I went on eBay and found someone selling a brand new pack for just $10 more than the sale price on Amazon. So I was like, yep, I'm gonna get that before it goes away again. So that saved like $50, $60, which whenever I'm doing projects, I'm always looking for ways to save and still get quality out of it. So anyway, we're gonna have Philips Hue bulbs out here so we can do colors, brightness, and all that kind of cool stuff. Okay, back to the idea of how we're gonna wire this. Well, like I said, right now we have this wire getting plugged in out here, but that's not gonna be there. This is not how we're gonna do it. That looks terrible. That's how I would have done it when I was younger, but we're not doing that no more. So, well, we have a couple options. There's a hole here, and there's one on the back of the box. I've thought about this for a while. My first idea was to bring up some of that outdoor tubing for the electrical and bring it right up. But then you gotta look at that, and I think that looks terrible. Well, we're going, you know, look nice here. So, the other idea that I had is we gotta hide it somehow. Okay, well, we can put it on the back of it and just drill a hole through the 4x4 into the back hole in here. Then you don't see it. Well, you still gotta look at it from the outside. Okay, true enough. Well, maybe we can hide it in the board going down. Get a really long drill bit or something and drill a hole in the middle of it. Well, where in the world are you gonna find that? Okay, well, we still wanna hide it. So, well, cover it up with another board. Here's another board right here, one of these spindles. It's like a 2x2, more like an 1.25 inches by 1.25 inches. Anyway, hide it underneath this. Well, how are we gonna do that? It's butted right up against it. Okay, so we're gonna take a circular saw and cut a channel behind this board here into the 4x4. That's big enough to hide the outdoor rated wire. It's not Romex, it's a different wire. It's gray. I can't think of the name of it. I think it's like UF or something. But it's outdoor rated wire, and we're gonna hide it in that groove behind this. And then we're gonna drill a hole that goes up into the back of the box. I think it's gonna look great. It's gonna be a little bit of a project, but not too bad. I mean, we got screws, so we just take it off and screw it back together. I think it's gonna work out good. So obviously we gotta get the wire over here. And once we bring it down, we will drill a hole that'll go through the probably like a 2x10 or something here, and we'll hide all the wire up underneath here, and we'll drill a little hole to, you know, run it along the edge here, because it has to still be, you know, nailed to something. It can't just be hanging out here. And there'll be another box underneath here that's waterproof, weatherproof, whatever. Wonderful. Okay. Excuse me. So that's the idea for all 4 of these poles, is to do that. It'll hide the wire, and I think it'll look nice. Now the other idea I had is, do we want an outlet on there? You know, an outlet. An outlet, that could be nice. Yeah, that's an idea, but the cover that you put on there would just look ugly, to be honest. So I don't think we're going to do that at the moment. It can always be added in the future. And being that there's an electrical box underneath here, it can always just be added wherever. But thinking about that, it would be nice to have an outlet up here. So we're going to add one over here in the corner. The wire's going to come up here from out of the garage. That's the garage area. It's going to come out over through one of those tubes to underneath the deck. Brand new 15 amp circuit directly from the power panel. And then it's going to come to a box. It'll come up. We'll put a switch on it, because why not? And we'll put some outlets, because you can never have enough outlets. And then I want to run an outlet up, and underneath here for lights. Yes, we got to have lights. You know that. And that's the idea for outlets. Of course, we can always branch and run another wire to an outlet, because the lights will be switched. But that's the idea. So lights, what are we going to do up here? Well, you know, everybody's got to have those S11 or S14 style lights nowadays, and I found a string of those brand new industrial incandescent ones, not LED, incandescent, at the thrift store a while back. Brand new, Fight Electric, good quality, whatever. So I want to hang those out here. So how are we going to do that? There's not really anywhere to hang anything over here. True enough. But we're also going to do something else. I'm a pale-skinned person. I'm a redhead. I get very sunburned, so I have to wear sunscreen all of the time, just to not get sunburned all the time. So shade is a nice thing to have. So you've probably been out to restaurants and fancier places, and well, anybody has these now, but sunshades. They're like a tarp that you hang over an area, and it provides shade from the sun. Perfect. So we're going to put one of these up here to provide shade from the sun. And the deck is 20 feet by 20 by 12 with an overhang of 2 feet here. So I got an 18 by 12 sunshade off of the internet. It was a cheaper one. It's beige. It would have been neat to have a color one, but I want it sooner than later. I have friends coming out here, so I really want to just get things together and looking nice for their visit here in a couple weeks. It's coming up. So how in the world are we going to hold it up? Well, I originally thought we can put some new 2x4s there, or 4x4s that come up further. But you know, how well is it going to hold with the board there, you know, for strength wise, because you got to get the thing taut. Well, okay, maybe some like a pipe of some type, like conduit or something. Well, sharing that with my dad, you know, that could be a little flimsy depending on the kind you get. Okay, got another idea. Don't worry about it. We got plenty of ideas going on. Let's walk over here. I got dandelions. Anybody need dandelions? We need rain. I'm sure you hear that everywhere. Okay, over here is a bit of a mess at the moment. This is the extension cord going to that light. I want to get a new cover for that. That needs a new cover. It just looks terrible. And just some pieces of wood here that were left over from doing the deck, because I'd work over here. It's in the shade. I gotta have shade. The heat pump's working great. But you can see under the deck here, lots of ferns. I'd rather have the ferns than all these darn whatever weeds. But I don't know what this ladder's doing here. I don't know who made this thing. Looks ridiculous. We have these pipes. Hopefully they're long enough, but these were originally for the fencing that went around the property back in the day. And so I'm going to use these to put up the sunshade. Why not? You know, I don't see any reason why you can't. I just hope that they're long enough. I guess we'll, excuse me, find out. But they're definitely thick enough. And then you just need some eye bolts and whatnot, and you're off to the races. So we'll see how that works. The other idea I had is that if it's too tight between the ends here, it can run over to the shed and put an eye bolt on there. You know, you just use some whatever and that'll work. So that's the idea. That's what we're gonna do. I was just out here measuring today. It's a nice quiet morning, so I thought I'd finally do a video for all of you on this deck. I have put so much time into this. I have some pictures that I'll include of kind of the process that I just took from the security camera, and then you have a little idea of what it looked like originally and some of the progress steps along the way. But I'm going to get my measurements, get how many electrical boxes I need, and we're off to Home Depot to get what we need. One expensive trip to Home Depot later, and we have everything we need. So we got some connectors here to hold that tube to the wall that will run the electric through. I got a whole bunch because they're real cheap. It's like $1 a bag. And I can always use it. I have some here on the shelf, but I got some more because I don't know if the length that I have. I originally bought a 25-foot length, but I used some on the street light outside. So it might not be enough for the 20-foot length that I need outside here. So I got some more of that stuff. It's that bendable like tube that you put electric through. I got 4 of these. They didn't have caps for that size of pipe because it's made to be like this on a fence. This thing is light. It is like probably the cheapest metal in the universe. But I got 4 of them for the 4 pipes that are out there because they're just so cheap. I was like, whatever. I know I say cheap like, oh, you're saying all this stuff's cheap, but it was expensive. Yeah, these are the only things that were cheap. They were like a couple cents. There's more of them. I don't know where they are. This box, these things are expensive, like $10 or more. So, I mean, whatever. But we're going to do it right. That's the important part. This will go up on the side of the house there for the switch and outlet. I got 6 of these. They have 2 holes on each side and none on these sides because I didn't think I needed that. So I put them on the sides here for expandability. You never know if you might want to expand, but these will go on an angle like this. The wire will come in through the back and it'll continue on its way to the next light. Of course, we have to have covers for them because we don't necessarily need outlets underneath there. So we got some covers as everything falls down. Here's another box. And here's the cover for the switch and the outlet. And that'll go on this box here. So we're good there. This is for the sunshade. Stainless so it doesn't rust. More covers. These are for the wood. Wasn't sure if that's long enough, so I got some longer ones. The oh boy, I forget what they call these things, but stainless ones to hold the tarp up, or the sunshade. The funny thing is that these 350-pound ones were cheaper than the 280-pound. No idea why. Here's another box. I know I'm just setting it all here. I don't really have as much space. Let's see. Here's the rest of these caps. And another one of those because we need 4. Here's a brown box, another one. I had plenty for the lights, but I got another one for the outlet that I want to put up high. More boxes. I got 6 of them because you need 1 in the garage, 1 at the beginning of the deck, and then 1 for each of the lights. Here's a little baggie of these connectors for that tubing. There's 5 here. I already have 1, so I need 6. That's perfect. Here's a cover for the outlet that'll be up high. I already have outlets, so we're good there. These are to put through the pipes to hold the tarp, or I keep calling it a tarp. It's a sunshade. Technically, you could use the end of this thing, but I don't know how much that would actually hold, to be honest. This feels so light. But you know what? it'll at least keep water out, and that's important. I did pick up a box of screws. These are the screws I usually use. These 1 1/4 inch ones just hang lights and stuff directly on wood. But they're not for outdoor use, so I picked up some here for outdoor use. They're for decks, but that's okay. They're brown. It'll match the other ones that I used on the deck. At least they won't rust. Yet another one of these boxes, another one of these things, and some washers for the eye bolts. Okay, that's all that stuff. Of course, you got to have wire. So we got 100 foot of the UF outdoor rated stuff for the deck, and 100 feet of the Romex here for everything else. It's locked up in their store, like you cannot get to it. So you have to ask someone to get it, then they bring it up front. You cannot take it up front. I suppose people are really stealing this stuff quite a lot. I remember when it wasn't behind locked gates, but that was a couple or more years ago. And whatever to that. But my calculations said that I need more than 50 feet, and the next step up is 100, so we got 100 of each. I do have some leftover 14 gauge Romex, but again, I don't know how much of that there is left, so we'll just be safe and get some. Hey, you can always have wire on hand. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's everything for the project. I suppose we will begin. Okay, so I decided to put the electrical box here. I was going to put it on the siding, but I decided to put it here because this is a direct entry into the garage area. I don't have to go through a couple different layers, and it keeps it hidden, so you don't have to look at it. So it'll just come right out and run its way over there. I don't know if I've already shown this, but I finally have a traffic light in the collection. We'll look at it closer here soon. Later in the day, me and my friend went to go work on his new-to-him car. Neither of us have ever replaced a fuel pump before, but it needed to be done, and we did do it successfully, so we were happy about that. I really do hope you enjoyed this vlog style of video, and also please comment, rate, share, and subscribe, and follow along for future videos that end up on this random channel. Again, as always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.